Meanwhile, NASCAR driver Blake Koch is fairly new on the nationwide series circuit. Young, deeply devoted to his Christian faith, and is just in his second season. He already ranks in the top half of drivers. Well, last month, just before his race at Daytona, Koch and his sponsor RiseUpAndRegister.com, a voter registration group, planned to air this ad on ESPN.
Over half of all race fans didn't bother to vote in the last election. I know. I was one of them. It's time for all of us, the entire NASCAR nation, to rise up and make our voices heard this election.
That ad never saw the light of day. ESPN told Koch and his sponsor that the ad was denied because it had political and religious overtones. But is that really true, or is Koch being targeted for his religious beliefs? Blake, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. So
you were in the top 10 when Rise Up and Register was allowed to sponsor you. Since that time, you're really struggling to make ends meet. Why do they have a problem with a message, a pro-vote message?
Yeah, I mean, I heard that the reason was religious overtones on my particular website, which, you know, I didn't think that my faith in Christ would have an impact whether or not my sponsor could air a commercial or not.
Now, what made you think that that had something to do with ESPN's decision not to air the commercial?
Well, I don't have all the details of what we had a voicemail saying that the commercial couldn't air because of political and religious overtones, and you saw the commercial, and it obviously didn't have any religious overtones at all, and they said particularly because of my website.
So your reaction, well, we know what's happened to your racing. You're using used tires. You got to scrape together money just to be able to race and compete, and you're not going to be successful that way.
Yeah, I mean, the sport's generated around our sponsors and the fan support, and I'm not here to bash ESPN. I like ESPN. I watch it. They cover our races great. But I need to get a sponsor to be able to compete on that series, and I've worked really, really hard to get sponsorship, and it has really affected it. That's why we had a blank car at California.
You know, Joe Gibbs is one of the most successful racing teams, who's an outstanding football coach. He's very religious. Everything he does is religious and religious-oriented. His book went out that way. How come they don't have a problem with Joe Gibbs's background with religion?
I really don't have an answer to that, but Joe Gibbs is awesome, and they have a great team, and the Game Plan for Life is the book that he promotes, and
there's a religion in every chapter.
Yeah.
So in turn, do you think that you might tone down your website in response to ESPN's concern?
Absolutely not. That's the one thing I will not do, is deny my faith just because of a particular sponsor might not like the way I express my faith, which I do on my own time. Race weekends, I usually find a church and go share my testimony, and I'm not willing to hide my Christianity.
Here is the message left on your voicemail. Let's listen together.
Was declined for political and religious overtones, which we avoid by all of our standards. We looked at the website, you know, as well, at Blake's website, and do see the religious aspects of this. So those are the reasons.
It's ridiculous. So that's the reason. Your dad gets the message, he relays it to you, and your team is devastated because you're a pro-vote message. What if you've had an anti-vote, don't vote message? Would that be okay?
I don't know, man. You know, it's the message is, you know, the goal was to register 1 million new people to vote this upcoming election, and it wasn't tied to a particular candidate or party. We just wanted voters registration.
Here's ESPN's statement, quote, "The spot did not meet our guidelines in regard to advocacy messaging." Blake, if people want to follow you and register their support, or if they feel differently, but I imagine they're going to be supportive, at Blake Koch, but it's spelled K-O-C-H Racing.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Blake Koch Racing, K-O-C-H.
Great. Nice to see you, Blake.
Thank you so much.
Hope this thing irons out for you.
Me too.
And good luck this weekend. Meanwhile, coming up straight ahead, breaking news on